Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network. Made by cinephiles, for cinephiles. I appreciate you embracing the cinephile. Yeah.
Baseball.
I want you to close in on that. We're back with another spectacular picture.
Yes.
And it's just free month. You know, we just get to pick whatever the fuck we want, and it's pretty great. And we appreciate those non-theme months also.
You know it's not free? Baseball.
It's not free.
Costs a lot of money.
You know what is free? Is subscribing and liking this podcast.
Yeah, that's very free.
I thought you guys were going to go with the soda in the clubs. That wasn't free.
No, guys. What people need to focus on is subscribing and liking.
That's true.
Yeah,
subscribe and like. If
you may have to pay more than $1. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, my bad.
No, my bad, really.
Just like, subscribe, and share, and help us out. Spread the word. Let us know what we're doing wrong. I have been
doing wrong.
Told.
You've been doing wrong.
That I've been doing it all wrong.
I've been doing
life. Everything.
I thought I taught you better.
Yeah, it's cool. Me too. That's, you know what it is. No, I have been told lately that a lot of people have been requesting a lot of films.
Yeah, like Blade Runner.
For a little while. And we're getting better at that. So we started looking at the calendar, and we're going to try to see where we can start placing these requests, because we appreciate them. And we want to talk about films that somebody recommended one to me today, and I had never even heard of it. And this person told me, like, hey, have you guys ever done any animated films? And I was like, yeah, kind of, not really. You know, we're talking about doing an animation month at one point. And they're like, the Triplets of Belleville.
Never heard of that.
Like, what is this? And he showed me the trailer. And apparently it was selection at Cannes. It got nominated for an Oscar. Or I think it won the Oscar for animated that year. And it looks pretty great. It's an animated film. So, you know, we'll start checking these requests out. And see how we can place them, because they're films we've probably never seen, too. Yeah. So just keep sending them in, and we'll make room for them. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We might even do like a draw from the hat thing, you know? We just do like 1 week draw from the hat. Random requests from viewers.
We could even do that at the end of the show.
I want to draw from the Lao's sweaty hat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's already a suggestion in there. It just says wash me.
It just says wipe your fucking forehead. That's what it says.
Oh, yeah. Rest of the episode like this, not changing.
I'm trying to think, have we ever done a sports film?
Oh, yeah. We did, you know, like Rush, and we did Hustle, and we did, you know, we've done a few. Warrior. We've done a few.
Lock. I really don't consider, like, well, I do consider
sports film.
Yeah, it is.
Which one?
Lock is not a sports
Not
film.
the way I watch it.
You're watching it wrong.
I get really excited and sweaty when I watch that film. Okay,
it's like watching Cops.
I was watching Lock.
This week,
Up to bat.
Hey, look at you.
Are my fellow co-hosts, Mr. Michael Alao, talking in baseball terms.
I text him to say that as well.
Hey guys, it's going to be a rough fourth down, but I think we can really pull it together.
Jimmy's so disappointed right now.
Yeah, let me see you in the office real quick.
Jimmy just wished he had a girl. You know?
Hey, it's going to be a miracle in 74th Street if we can.
Jimmy didn't have a girl. Mr. John Eric Castro.
And your athlete of the day.
Yeah.
Hey.
Absolutely. Mr. Austin Young.
Probably more athletic than anybody of us.
Yeah.
I mean that in the sense...
I
feel like... Because you played sports.
No, yeah.
All right, guys, here we go.
He's probably the only one here who played baseball.
All right,
See? Yeah, no, like, I mean, Austin has, like, a rich history of, like, sports. See, like, he just told me to lick
I
it.
got to ask him, dude.
Yeah.
What?
You're the encyclopedia of, like, baseball, football, soccer.
And
You got all
oddly
the answers,
enough,
bro.
badminton.
Oddly enough, the Whirling Dervishes. We're back this week.
Yes, we are.
And yeah, Austin's going to be answering like most of these questions today. Because it's also his pick. I'm your humble film servant, Carlos La Torre, offering you a writing directing perspective
Did
on
you
this.
ever play any sports in school?
Yeah. I didn't play baseball.
Damn it.
But I played basketball.
Just me.
And soccer.
You really did play like dodgeball, kickball?
Dodgeball? I was dodging balls my whole life. That was never a sport. It was terrifying.
Even when he was playing tetherball, man, it just kept fucking hitting him. He was like...
Look at Napoleon that.
I would walk in the hallway and somebody would be like, dodge, you know, and then like...
And they throw a fucking book?
Yeah.
No, it'd be like that
sport
scene.
just to go to the restroom?
No, it'd be like at the end of the movie when Jonah Hill throws Brad Pitt the ball and it's like, hey, yeah, it's already there, catch.
That was so did
Dude, you know what? There was this one kid
At band camp?
No, like, okay, all I remember is that for some reason he just did not like me. I don't know why. No, I know why.
Yeah, we got
Try to fuck his girl?
No,
That happened to me a few times.
Legitimately, I had previously dated the person that he was after, but like,
there it is.
I was right.
no, but what happened is that she just like completely ignored me, so we barely even dated. And then, but he, for some reason, was jealous.
got the fuzzy end of the lollipop on both ends in that scenario.
No, like she, no, I mean seriously, she made up a story that she was gonna leave the country, and that's why we couldn't keep dating. I'm like, you could have just said no,
Yeah,
you know, like
damn.
because then
I'm
she
going
showed
to
up.
Europe, and then she was in health.
No,
She wrote a whole
she-
2-page
she-
essay
She
the night
showed
before
up
and shit.
the next like year, and then she was still there. I'm like, hey, what happened to that trip? And then she just never talked to me. She like
Just
was
walked away.
Yeah, no, honestly. But for some reason, this guy was like, "Oh man, you had more of an opportunity than I've ever had," and then he wanted to kick my ass. Right now, you're wondering how does this all tie into sports?
This is not a therapy podcast, but I really do feel like I have those moments once a week, where I think about somebody from my past, and I'm like, I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, exactly,
She's scrolling through
absolutely.
Instagram
Yeah.
sometimes.
No, but the whole little like bow on that story is that I went to a very unathletic school, and thank God, because this guy for some reason really hated me and wanted to kick my ass. One day he got a football and he was like, "Hey, Michael," and what he was trying to do was be cool and throw the football really hard and hit me in the face. Guy couldn't throw for shit, so he missed. but he I think had multiple like attempts where he tried to hit me with objects and could not hit me, but he really wanted to. Like the intent was there, you know.
You never got to though?
Huh?
You dodged all of them?
I didn't have to move. I just turned around. I'm like, what the fuck? Is that a football? And then
He
yeah,
dodged, duck, dip, dived, and
I dodged, duck, dip, dive, and dodge all of high school.
Hey, how come dodgeball isn't a pick for comedy month?
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, no, it is.
All right.
Anyways,
Speaking of balls, this
And
week,
money.
speaking of balls and money, and not necessarily in that order, we're talking about Bennett Miller's 2011, based on a true story, Moneyball.
Yeah.
It's a sports drama.
Wow.
This is my kind of sports film, man. So
Same.
that's how I opened that up.
Yep.
My kind of sports film. Bennett Miller, who you'll know from things like
We are the Millers.
Foxcatcher, which I thought was another terrific kind of
not-
sports
Oh,
film.
with Steve
You didn't
Carell?
dig
I
it?
did not catch that yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Oh, it's terrific.
And it's another based on a
heavy,
true story.
man. It's very heavy.
It's with Michael Scott,
Yes.
Channing Tatum.
Michael Threat Midnight, Threat Level Midnight.
Yeah.
Foxcatcher. He also did another film called Capote, which Philip Seymour Hoffman is terrific in that picture too, about Truman Capote during the getting blacklisted in Hollywood
he
and stuff
also
like that.
did-
It's terrific.
The Nespresso commercials with George Clooney.
Right. I'm sorry, I got the wrong film. The wrong person. Truman Capote was a writer, and if you read a novel called In Cold Blood about a serial killer interviewing a serial killer and then kind of sort of falling in love with that serial killer, that's who Truman Capote was. And Philip Seymour Hoffman played that role. I was thinking of Trumbo for the Blacklist stuff. But anyways, so Bennett Miller directed Moneyball, and he hasn't done much since 2014. He's doing The Christmas Carol. Cool.
Interesting. It's interesting.
Cool, man. This script,
Based
however,
on a true story.
it's important to note. It's fucking phenomenal. And it's because you have two, I don't know Stan Shervin, but I know Steve Zalian and I know Aaron Sorkin. And as I stated on this podcast before, Aaron Sorkin is a fucking hero of mine when it comes to screenwriting.
I have questions about that.
Space Warriors. Okay. Yeah, you see, Shervin didn't do much else. But Steve Zalian wrote The Irishman, wrote Gangs in New York, wrote a lot of great films. I'm obviously only named the Scorsese ones, but he's a damn good writer, Steve
But
Zalian.
wasn't this one a book first?
It was. It was an adaptation, and the full name of which they actually referenced in the film, Moneyball, The Art of Winning an Unfair Game.
There we go, yeah.
And one of the lines, was, "This is an unfair game." Remember?
okay,
So
yeah.
they were just kind of,
They had to, yeah.
putting it in there. But it was based on a book, and it was bestseller.
Now, when you say you like this type of sports film, what does that mean?
I think there's massive arcs in this, man. I think it was presenting the information in a not so cliche way. And I really enjoyed, I was noticing, especially in the first act, just how much they were almost weaponizing baseball in the sense of anytime we would see a logo or a field, it felt very uneasy. You know,
are you talking about when like certain turns? I guess when like the lights went low.
yeah.
That was
it was more. Those are noir tactics. Those are noir tactics to present the villain, to present something dark and eerie, and and they were using those tales, just in like little moments. Like little logos of the team or locker room, like anything that represents the sport. Even like the typical baseball shot, right, which is a great shot. It's overused, but it's a great shot, which is the corridor leading to the field, right?
Yeah.
That's in every baseball film. And this in this scenario was used more, more of a kind of eerie pathway, stuff like that I thought that was really, really unique in those scenarios. But more importantly, we saw the arc of Brad Pitt's character and getting to a place where his younger self couldn't get to, and accepting that it wasn't a failure, that he didn't make it the way traditional baseball says you should be making it.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking about that arc because I thought if his character, once he got to the big leagues, wasn't doing anything, but he was getting on base, he could have been part of this winning team.
That's what I said. Like, probably the system wasn't for the time, I guess.
So I dig that arc a lot. And then just, the writing's terrific. The dialogue is sharp. Sure. The casting was pretty great. Everything about this film works, and it's not. The one that was working out and training for what's to come was Brad Pitt's character, and he's not even suiting up to play. It's those moments of like these great kind of sleight of hands where we see baseball and we see the team as a plot device. We don't see it as their win necessarily,
Yeah.
It's a Bennett Outsiders. The only film I can kind of compare it to right now is The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
It's about Barnum.
fit
It's
anybody
about
else.
Barnum more than it is about the people that he's trying to put together to an extent, because he's a representation of these people.
Yeah.
So I find that a lot more fascinating than the typical sports drama.
I love that Austin mentioned that they were using, or they were trying to mimic the exact found footage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think on the technical front, this thing wins.
You
Man,
didn't think it was kind of like a better version of a documentary in certain aspects?
I mean, there's
a different
Like on the
question.
flashbacks.
Yeah, there has to be drama, right? There has to be some drama, right? And what documentaries do badly in reimitations, or what are they called? Reimaginations or reenactments.
Yeah.
This does in a proper reenactment.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
so
like
that
using
tips the scale, right? That tips the scale for sure. But what I did like is their approach to authenticity, right? I read a lot of them trying to basically all the scouts who played scouts for the most part, except for the exception of like 2 actors, were all actual scouts.
They're all scouts. That could go wrong pretty bad.
A lot of the players, most of the players were actual players, either in the minor leagues or retired players, but they were actual players. So I think that's the best way to use non-actors, as we learned with My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah.
You're going to just get a guy who has virtually lived this role to play this role.
Especially if baseball fanatics see this film, they're going to be like, that guy, he's not sounding like a baseball scout.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many, what is it called? There's also so many people in either like sports or music that'll view films like this and scrutinize that's not how they sound, or that's not how they talk, or like they'll watch something, they'll be like, okay, they romanticize that part, but it's not a sports person's or like a music person's like film. It's only meant to dramatize a real life situation.
I mean, it comes to no surprise that something like Moneyball. Okay, it was partially written by Aaron Sorkin, but it was, it felt like The Social Network to an extent. The Social Network of baseball, and I respect that. I respect that they made it more about the character than they made it about the actual product itself.
Yeah,
it's not really about the A's as much as it is about.
I was questioning that too, and I guess one of them was like, what was his name? Justice, the vet, the veteran.
Justice.
I loved how he tried to communicate with him, like, yo, I didn't pay you to be the player that you were. I pay you the player that I think you could be right now.
I thought that was too easy, that he was like, all right, I got you.
I felt like they could have shown more of that. Because after that scene, it goes to the dughouse, to the clubhouse with Chris Pratt.
Let me say this. My defense of that is, by the way, that the tail end of the second act was a big-ass montage, and they used it effectively. But it was a big ass montage.
Which
It was
one
their
was that?
winning streak, right?
Oh, okay,
And it's because he's cohesively also talking to these characters and one by one almost walking through that. But if we start making it about that, you have to make those little arcs complete for every
I
character.
knew you were going to say something like that.
On top of that,
But they weren't
these characters are grateful, man. Like they were out. They were done.
Yeah.
Nobody wants them. What are they going to fight about? You're really
No,
going to
that's
fight at this
true.
stage
The
in your
Yankees,
career?
the Yankees are paying David Justice $3.5 million.
No, but what I'm
to
saying
play
is
against them.
they could have
Right.
showed a little bit more of that.
That people were against his tactics?
No,
Or-
no. And that little thing where they showed it for a reason, right? Like
Yeah.
him talking to the vet. And then the next scene was the vet talking to Chris Pratt. Like, what's your worst fear? Like the ball coming towards me. And then
Well,
the vet
because
was
who else is gonna have the experience? Like who else are they
No,
gonna
I
trust?
love that. I'm just saying I didn't get enough of that.
But that's
You know what I
right.
think it
There's
is?
There's no other vet. There's no other valid vet to do that job with him.
But,
That's
like,
why
I
he's
would-
like, I need you to be a leader.
I
you
would
know?
have loved to see more scenes of him trying to communicate
Oh,
with the
to
young
other
ones.
players.
Yeah.
You know,
But then it
I-
becomes about him.
No, I knew you were gonna say that, but I was like, why show that then?
Also, I feel like
Just to get
to show that Brad Pitt's character is making an impact.
because it's more about Brad.
It's more about Brad Pitt. It's
I also
directly
feel
more
like
about Brad Pitt. What's his
do-
name?
Billy Bean.
Billy. It's more about Billy. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say also Chris Pratt's character, like he kind of represents every individual who's already been given up on,
Yeah.
but then had their second chance and they came up. Because if you look at it, at least with him, we are introduced to that character at his home, and we're seeing that he's just surprised that anybody wants him, but they want him for something kind of obscure that's out of his
love
wheelhouse.
that scene, yeah.
And he's like, "Wait, I'm out. Like, why are you calling me?" And then it's like, "Wait a minute, you want me for something else?" And then he starts building his way up, going from like, you're on the team, but the coach still doesn't want you. We're going to be putting in somebody else. And then, okay, now you're there. And then the very end where, like he's able to finally hit.
Hits the fucking
Yeah.
ball. By the way, I, while we're on Chris Pratt, I like that on the casting front, he went through a similar thing that his character went through.
What do you mean?
Because, I mean, he was very green in his career, quote unquote, right? But
He was on Parks and Rec at the time.
yeah, he was gunning for this part. He wanted this part. And he would go to the casting director and his agent and be like, "Hey," but he was too overweight, right? He played the character in Parks and Rec. And it's kind of
So this is when he started.
So he lost the weight, and he would keep asking week after week, like, "Hey, did it get cast yet? Did it get cast yet?" And like, no. So when he finally kind of dropped enough of the weight, he took a picture of himself, like shirtless or whatever, sent it to his agent, and he got the part. So he was actively
Yeah,
like trying
dude.
to get in there, and doing like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so those kind of moments are really cool. Just again, these weird authenticity factors that you don't know are going to work until they
So
work.
just for like story or plot, what was his? He had an arc.
Yeah, his arc was
winning-
his arc is
The
like
second
Aguilar
chance.
says, it's that second chance, right? Everybody thinks they're done, including and especially his character, because it's scientifically impossible for him to get better. His elbow's just not going to work anymore, right? Yeah. So okay, you're going to play this that you're not used to playing, and it's going to almost like the last scene with that kind of chubby character, right? It's going to embellish all of your biggest fears in this one role. But if you develop it hard enough, it'll get us where we need to go, and it'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's
Everybody
a terrific
just
arc.
Yeah.
The representation kind of evolved. them.
Yeah.
Before we keep going forward, even before we get into our ratings, I want to ask Austin why he picked this film.
I watched it again recently,
Okay.
and I was like, why haven't we talked about this? And I also thought about Jonah Hill. And I'm like, I
Oh
think,
yeah, we just had a conversation recently about how Jonah Hill's just a really interesting actor. That
yeah,
he
and I think this was the first serious role I saw
Yeah.
him in.
No, I think you're right. I mean, at this scale, for sure.
Yeah.
Cyrus was kind of
Cyrus
a
was
small-
in there, yeah.
Because even like Superbad was what, like 3-4 years before this?
Yeah.
So it was like, because everybody thought of Jonah Hill as like the comedy guy.
What did you do
fat
right
guy.
before this? Can you click on it?
2011.
Oh, on Jonah?
Yeah.
I think he had done The Babysitter. Remember that one? He was still kind of fat.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Oh, I forgot that he did that one. Yeah.
I think it's around there.
But I will
War
say
Dogs
that
is
it's a
also a big
very
one.
interesting kind of like.
Like
Cyrus.
really
So
great.
Cyrus, get him to the Greek. Yeah, more Cyrus. I think Cyrus was he was in The Invention of Lying. Love that picture.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
forgot
dude.
about that. He was the suicidal character. Right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But
Forgetting
yeah,
Sam
he was like a
Marshall.
lot of the,
Yeah, definitely on the comedy front, right? But he plays the brother, the older, like the brother
That if he had grown up in a walk hard.
in a walk hard.
Oh my goodness.
Go up a little bit. I just want to see right before.
2010s. So get him to the Greek.
Yeah, so get him to the Greek would probably be the one. But Cyrus, I think you're right. I think Cyrus was the kind of the first one. Maybe
and the babysitter was
maybe
the
even funny people. I would vouch that funny people still has some of that a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, this one was like.
But Moneyball, you're absolutely right.
He got
Austin
nominated
Moneyball.
for it. I mean,
Yeah,
rightfully so.
Because it wasn't meant to be that he's a punchline or anything. If anything, they played in a little bit in the casting to those stereotypes, just towards, oh, this is the guy that nobody's taking seriously, and now they're putting him in the boardroom, and he's ready to be taken seriously.
I have one gripe. I have one gripe casting wise, but we'll talk about that when we get to the casting part. I think.
Yeah.
With this director, is this in your top anything?
maybe like top 30 films of all time.
Okay.
Definitely my sports films for sure.
Yeah, it's up there. That's up there. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I was really pleased.
I recently just threw it on the background when I was just like hanging out, and I was like, why haven't we talked about this?
Yeah. Great.
That's why I decided to pick it.
Well,
So what's your rating on this one?
Well, and you also get to choose who goes first.
No, this is your first time seeing it, right?
Ever.
Yeah.
You want to go first or last?
I don't mind going first.
All right, you're going to go last.
You know, this is my first time even watching baseball. I really didn't know what they were holding, what was being tossed at them.
Well, you're used to holding wood, right?
Is that what they were holding? It looked weird, and they were hitting these fast things. It was just so odd. So odd. No, I'll say this. Usually in watching sports films, I know that I don't know all the ins and outs, and maybe I can't appreciate it the most, but I always can appreciate a film that's able to draw you into a world. Mm-hmm. This one definitely does. And, you know, other than a few little technical things I needed to ask you, I felt like I was thoroughly drawn into the world. And there are very human stories. The story of being given up on, of, you know, trying to gain validity in something like, and those human stories really did come across. For the filming and everything, I think it's really, really solid. I feel like we've seen other films that have done a similar formula, at least in what's the one with Adam Sandler recently that watched? Hustle. I thought, you know, in a similar vein, similar texture.
Yeah.
So I think it's been improved upon, but I don't think it loses merit. I'll probably give this one like I want to say like an 8.4.
Nice.
Like I think it's a really solid film.
Yeah.
But I do think there's things that are expanded upon it, but I don't want to disregard like the merit in the storytelling for sure. 8.4.
Carlos? Remember, it's Sorkin.
Yeah, I know, but this
More
was
like Dorkin. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this was Sorkin as getting an assignment, you know, and he very much talks about that. He talks about how
Really?
Yeah, he talks about how Steve Zalian wrote the script, and he didn't want to take that credit away from him. This was a Steve Zalian script.
You could tell where Sorkin
and
came
he
in
just
though.
did a pass through. Yeah, he just did another draft. So I don't want to give credit fully to Sorkin. You know, you give credit for him in those moments, right? Those big, kind of heavy, sharp dialogue moments, interesting dialogue moments. But I wouldn't solely call this a Sorkin thing. And that doesn't really sway maybe a little bit, but I'm at about a soft 8. I'm at a soft 8. I really appreciate everything about this film. I really appreciate everything from the technical front to the writing to the characters. The reason I don't go any higher than that is the short answer is, you know, there's better cinema that I think we've been pretty high in our ratings lately. And the other more concrete reason about this film is that I worry that these are the types of films that we are drawn to because it's a world, but a general audience member will watch, and it does tether on the line of being a little boring. If you especially if you're not invested in the world, if you have some sort of investment, even a general investment, I think it'll keep you in. But I think ultimately, if you don't, it's a mumblecore piece that it could really kind of draw in that realm. And I worry about those films because I think it's the kind of films that people just latch onto. They're like, shit was boring. And that this kind of cinema is boring, which isn't necessarily
I
the
will
case.
disagree. Wouldn't you think like maybe it's people that don't watch sports?
Not exclusively. I think just anybody who doesn't have
because this is
an attachment to it.
Because even though he doesn't really watch baseball, but he got the hang of like this good story. It's history
but
behind it.
This is my counter argument. We, the four of us, the attachment we have to this is good storytelling. It's good filmmaking, right? So good acting, good directing, good writing is going to keep us engaged. That doesn't always necessarily work for just the general audience member. I worry about that a little bit because it's a weird line to try to navigate. But I do think it exists, and I do think it doesn't get talked about a lot. And because it doesn't get talked about a lot, people like me will say, no, this film is going to work because it's going to work. And it does work. But then you lose people because you didn't have enough.
You didn't draw them in.
Yeah.
You know?
You didn't.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I think,
What do you mean you need drama in?
like, there's this weird
There's
kind of line.
plenty of-
Real quick. Let's finish ratings and put a pin on it. What drew you in? I think we'll get to that. But give us your rating.
But at 8, it's not ultimately low score.
Mine's a little bit higher, man. I'll give it a 9.3.
Oh, 9.3, okay.
I'm a big sports fan.
Yeah.
I really like Brad Pitt's character. It's really rare when I like.
Yeah.
I really want to get into his character.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm a big documentary fan in the sense of sports.
Yeah.
And I like how they implemented kind of
that feel.
found footage. So
Cool.
9.3 for sure.
9.3.
Okay. And Austin?
9.2.
9.2?
Yeah.
Overall, just solid in storytelling and sports representation.
Not even just sports, just the whole ability to incorporate found footage and reimagining stuff like that.
So the technical.
Yeah. You were mentioning even after we watched the film that
I've gone back and watched a bunch of the games from that season. In the league.
I love that.
And
See,
they
I love that.
recreated them like spot on.
Yeah.
really.
I love that.
Well, I was going to also add in that you mentioned you were surprised that this didn't win for editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just felt like it had a really good idea of like how to edit it in a way that the pacing's there while also incorporating a lot of those like archival clips.
Great
Who
pacing.
edited it? Great pacing for what? 2 and change? 2 hours and 10 minutes or
12
something?
like
That's why I don't know where you
Well,
found it.
that-
Or
you know
would
what?
think general
I
audience
do
would
think
find it.
That's-
general people would find it.
Yeah,
But
pace was just good enough.
the
but-
pace,
okay.
the pace almost has nothing to do with it.
No,
Here's-
okay. What I'm trying to say is like, sorry about that. It's just, I think there's a lot of elements that brings them in together, and it's like, how are you gonna miss with so many things? The good story, the history of it.
Let me ask you a question that
By
I
the way,
think.
it was Christopher Telferson.
What is he? Oh, he did a Quiet Place.
Oh,
The
wow.
Menu,
The Menu,
Joy.
right.
Oh, he's worked with David O. Russell.
And look, he did The Quiet Place 1, not 2. Says a lot.
Nayad.
Nayad.
Assassin's
You said that
Creed.
you hated the menu, huh? Like they could have done better.
I didn't hate it, mostly because Anya Taylor-Joy is gorgeous and I'll watch it
Yeah,
or anything.
same.
But
At the end, I was pissed off too.
at the end, I was like,
Yeah, with the hamburger.
no,
Let
I
me-
thought that was a great bit. I just felt like it was a lot of nothing. It was like
Yeah.
a long walk for a short drink of water.
Yeah.
But anyways, let me ask you this,
What's up?
and this
I
is
have
kind of a
something to
silly
add.
question, but to an extent, it kind of encapsulates what I'm trying to say. If you're like 6 months into a relationship, right?
Okay.
You guys are really getting to know each other.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys are
It's the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase, but it's like I'm gonna show you shit that's like a part of my soul. Well, I'm gonna show you
tell
shit
that to
that's
everybody.
like part of it's part of my soul. It's part of my soul. It's a roadmap to my soul. And you start using these things as gauges of how compatible you are with that person, right? If
Okay.
they
I
didn't like
don't.
this movie, if they didn't like this album, they didn't like this,
Sure, okay.
this
I'm with you.
artist, and you screen Moneyball for them, are you gonna expect them to latch on? And it almost doesn't matter what kind of personality there are.
Well, first of all, any female is gonna lose interest because
Bingo. You just lost half your audience, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's
That's
a
pretty
sport, it
good.
doesn't matter if it's a sports film. Like I talked about Whip.
no,
Wait,
hold
wait.
on.
I talk about Whip It a lot because I do want to cover it on this podcast at some point. This is great.
Whip
little
It or
indie
Whiplash?
picture. Whip It. Whip
With,
It. It's Drew Barrymore directed.
The song or the
Ellen
drug?
Page.
Elliot Page.
Elliot Page. At the time was Ellen Page.
Elliot Page now.
Elliot Page
It's
now.
Ellen DeGeneres.
No, it's not Ellen
She's
DeGeneres.
not-
Anyways,
she's-
it's a roller derby film.
okay. Oh yeah.
And he
I could
plays
give a shit.
roller derby.
I'm a guy, but I like it, and it's not like it's because it's hot women. No, because not all of them are hot women. Like it's just entertaining, and it or women. But
Nice one.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to do that. The fact that I'm a guy and it's a quote unquote female sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In this scenario, if it's vice versa, I don't think you just lose girls because it's a sports film. You lose girls because it's boring.
No.
boring.
No,
you know what I'll say?
Because there's a
The
male
element
dynamic.
of the daughter.
There's a male
bam,
dynamic.
They
Oh,
come
come
back.
on.
They're coming back.
Dude,
They're walking away, and they're like,
Okay.
what?
That's
4
a very
minutes.
small element. Yeah, 4 minutes of the picture.
Enjoy the
No,
4 minutes.
let's be honest. The women stick around for Brad Pitt.
Well, that's true.
No,
Dog,
this
that's
was-
my dog right there, bro.
He's not
No,
sexy. In
let
this
me
film,
let me
though.
say this. Let me say this.
But it's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
If you
Those
look,
eyes.
the part that even Austin was saying, like, no, pay attention. This is the important part, and it was the part where they even mentioned the name, like it's an unfair sport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole conversation, I mean, that's meant to give the premise for the film, like, what is the goal,
Yeah.
like Brad Pitt's goal, and what is
I
he going to
love
do
that.
to get there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you don't understand that,
yes.
if you don't understand any of the sporting elements, if you're not following along with a lot of what they're saying,
What's
I
your
get it.
buy-in? What's your buy-in, right?
yeah, because
What's your buy-in?
that's mixed in. Like let's say the premise really is, or the thesis of what he's saying is, we're trying to get wins. We're not trying to just be a good like a budget team, and. In that interlaced is he's blending in this talk of finances, and he's also blending in like, oh, we're trying to find a replacement for this player, and then later on he's bringing up this idea
For
of we're going to have to
sure,
bring
for
other
sure.
players.
And
in. But
for
those
sure.
meetings,
Yeah.
as pivotal as they are to the story, and as pivotal as they are for like the goal of Brad Pitt's goal, they don't do a whole lot if
Yeah.
you don't get that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And if you don't get it off the bat,
There's
you're
two
done.
sides of that coin. That part is the main. It's the main infrastructure of his argument, right? And we only see it pay off on a title line at the end of the film.
Oh, you're gonna,
You know what I'm saying? And that's fine.
messed up.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I know.
I know.
And that's okay.
I know what you're saying.
But at the same time, what I think this film could have done, and it's not that style, so it's not so much to blame. When you watch Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know dick about finances. And that's what they're saying. It's like,
I see what you're saying.
all of this is boring. It doesn't matter. The point is, were we making a shitload of fucking money? Yes.
Yeah.
Boom. Straight to the point.
Oh,
You don't need to
also-
know all the shit. You know what I'm saying?
But
also
the
let me
real question is, was any of this legal?
Absolutely fucking not. But you know what I'm saying? That's what this film is.
I see where
It's
you're
this
getting at.
like if it's a baseball fan
But
film,
it's
man.
not
You know?
all baseball.
No,
That's
but
what I'm saying.
also-
No, it's not. It's
Let
not.
me compare it to Hustle, right?
Yeah.
And the goal of
Okay.
Hustle, very beginning of the movie, right? We see that Adam Sandler's character says, "I just wanted to be a coach. Like I want to be what is it called? Like an assistant coach.
Yeah.
There on the court with the team. And then at the very end, the way it pays off, and the big payoff for the audience is that he
leaves.
walks in and the camera sees the crowd and everything, and it really engages you in. Where when he has that win, you have that win. In this one, like he says, that's just kind of this little like, oh yeah.
And don't get me wrong. And the other side of that coin is it even says like he's still trying to win the last game of the season.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's an ongoing story, but we don't. His character is the problem. Is the ambition of his character is bigger than baseball. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than himself.
Exactly, where the general audience
Yeah.
can relate to.
And the change,
Whereas-
the Red Sox winning
'cause everybody has
based
that.
on a principle that him and Jonah Hill's character, cool, that revolutionized the game. Why aren't we focused about the game being revolutionized? You know what I'm saying? That would have kept your audience engaged the whole time. Right? What's at stake? Because in these terms, the way this film sits, what's at stake is Brad Pitt's character's livelihood.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And as
Which a lot of people can relate to, even the female.
I mean,
even if it's not even sports.
but it's a very sports mentality.
Also, I think that
I
we're.
mean, sports mentality could go into a very competitive mentality. It's not sports all the time. It's just competitive.
What I think he did right, and I credit this to the writing, I credit it to the directing, and I definitely credit it to Brad Pitt. I don't know why I want to say Bradley Cooper. Brad Pitt is the fact that he was saying, I love my favorite thing about his character is that he's saying, I'm not in it for the ring. I'm not in it for, you know what I'm saying? That was my favorite part. It really boils down to, hey, I'm trying to get to the bottom of why this fucking game is unfair. And I want to change that. And that's great, but we spend 5 minutes on that
And
principle.
I think a lot of people didn't get that. That's
Exactly.
That's
That's
pretty
what we're
good.
saying. That's
pretty good how
what
you
we're
said it.
saying it fails. Not fails, but it could have used more of it. We should have harped on this point a little
And
more.
also,
you know?
Okay.
that's kind of to its credit. I mean,
Right.
it was keying in on the right spots because
Absolutely. Yeah.
the cliche of a lot of sports films is this whole idea of like
The coach speech.
the big game.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, yeah.
it's the big game at the end
Yeah.
that they
Absolutely.
win, and once they win that game,
You take away that and
then-
throw it out. It's
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you take away it, that element,
Yeah.
you have to reinvent the way you're going to tell that story.
Yep.
And that was here. but was it done effectively enough where everybody's going to care about that?
It's a victim of its own. It's a victim of its own creation, dude. Because a lot of
I get it. I'm not being biased a little bit.
No, I'm agreeing with you. It's a victim of its own creation because this film did what other sports films couldn't,
which is
and it invented a new style to tell it. Invented a new way to tell a sports film.
Okay, I like that.
But it was so new in its inception that I feel it didn't quite find the way to do it yet. It's not its fault. You know, it's trying to find a way to maneuver that world.
I 75% agree with you.
To take a step back, I have a question on a different front.
Baseball is the white thing with the red stitches on it.
No, you answered that when I went to the restroom. I get it. It's a weird question. I wanted to kind of throw in the middle of the episode, but
Yeah.
how do you guys feel about the score? Only because at a certain point in time, I mean, at first I was like, "Oh, I get it, and
scored
it's
this?
good."
I really don't
And then
remember
after,
the score.
you don't remember it?
Oh,
I
man,
remember
it's key.
it popping in, and it after a while, I felt like it was so cliche.
Yeah.
I felt like it was the most cliche thing at the end of this film.
I
Because
will say, was it Howard Short?
Whoa.
I-
At the end of the film?
it just like everywhere. It just
Michael
kept.
Dana. What do you do?
Don't you
Life
dare
of
talk
Pi.
about that girl's
Little Miss
song,
Sunshine.
dude.
Because,
No,
you know,
that's not the score.
No.
It's that weird kind of like guitar echoing.
did
It almost
Onward.
sounds like Explosions in the Sky, if you know that band.
No, I fucked girls.
I'm embarrassed. I don't remember the
Oh,
score.
fine.
No, I know what you mean, though. I will say, I think what it was trying to do, though, in those scenarios was play to its sentimentality, and that's why it can be a cliche. But it's also using, again, very noir tactics. Noir scores are very dramatic, you know?
Yeah.
And they again, they could harp
Yeah,
on
but
that
I mean,
sentimentality.
Like
Don't
when he's
you
in the
feel
locker
like-
room, like that background sound kind of, but like
I don't
kinda
know.
remember it.
Like I felt like
I also think it's the Bennett Miller thing. His
Sensibilities?
sensibilities are very, very over dramatic, but they make sense because of the stakes. It makes more sense than Foxcatcher. Trust me. Watch Foxcatcher.
Really?
It's a better film. I think it's a better. Well, I don't know. It may not be a better film, but the stakes are a lot higher, and the intentions for those stakes are utilized a little better. I wouldn't say it's a better film, but it is seeing a director grow into what he's trying to do.
okay.
You know? So I think that's
I really want to see that one. I feel like we're gonna record it sometime.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
But,
But it's a terrific picture. You know, it's the
also-
best thing I've seen Channing Tatum in, for instance. You
Also,
know, like,
I'll say that I can recognize that score only because it's on social media a lot, and it's a big cliche.
oh, man, I think TikTok is a pain in the ass when it comes to that stuff, man.
Yeah, like
because
they'll take
it's
a
just-
great song or something
the
good.
My Dinner with Andre one, man. We were trying to look for it and we couldn't find it, and then you're like, I know that, like I found it because of TikTok or something.
Yeah.
and or one of you, like it's so
And,
annoying.
dude, and then even what is it called? Like, well, yeah, they're just used everywhere now. Where I've enjoyed songs
In other contexts.
and then no, just by itself, like I'll like stumble upon it in some different way.
no,
then everybody's
but
like,
what I mean is on TikTok or something, it's used in a different context.
oh yeah,
You know, it's
yeah.
used to show some girl crying by
Yeah,
her
and it's like,
fucking-
oh,
you know what
so
I'm
you're
saying?
just into it for that TikTok reason and all that.
Yeah, oh, I
And this
hate it.
one, it's the exact same way, like
Yeah.
you know. But
Y'all haters. Bro.
so I've heard it before, and I don't know if it's because of that, but I will say that at a certain point in time, I was kind of like, it does feel heavy-handed, even in its use here. I feel like it's very heavy-handed, where it's like, hey, we want the audience to know that they're being pensive because what does this really mean? And they're like, meow, meow, meow,
And
meow.
typically directors will do that when they're afraid to take a risk. And
Get outta
no,
here.
I'm serious, man.
What do you mean? Maybe he liked it. Maybe that's the way he...
Imagine in those moments where Brad Pitt's character is
Me as
pensive
an
and stuff. Imagine just cutting to an extreme wide shot and not hearing silence. You know what I'm saying?
Ballsy.
You know, taking a risk to really prove a point and not using this like tool that you know is going to get it's going to pull on the heartstrings. That's what scores are.
The model of this film took a
To
risk.
counter that
Yeah.
argument regarding the silence.
Please, man, I'm drowning over here.
No, just that little point. I think because the director used the silence where it was needed.
Yeah.
I think if he would have done it more, it would have been gimmicky.
Yeah, well, but then what? You're going to pick your
I think
battle.
it-
You're going to pick your battles, right? Because
I think it was more impactful where it was in the film compared to where if he would have kept doing it.
I think it was impactful, but
Yeah.
you don't feel like at a certain point in time it was like a scapegoat. Like you don't feel like maybe we could have sat with the silence a little bit more, because I really enjoyed the moments when Brad Pitt's listening to the radio. And at least for me, again, I'm not super technical when it comes to like baseball and the sport, and you know, even the broadcasting of the sport. So when you would hear those little clips on the radio, sometimes I'd be kind of lost, like, what is happening? But then you would see him get upset. But I mean, in those moments, it's this very interesting place for the character to be detached from the game, but it's right there in front of him and he can't escape it. You know, he's driving, he's it's on the TV, or he's getting updates on his phone.
It's also the weird thing, man, like as artists, as filmmakers, for instance, right? I think if we were in Billy's position where you become quote unquote the I don't know, what would you make negative in the filmmaking world? Like, oh, he didn't make it, but he's doing this now. He's I'm gonna give a silly example to prove a point, but he's ripping the tickets at the movie theater now because he didn't make it as a filmmaker. You know, that's what those radio things. He's in the industry he loves, but he didn't make it the way he wanted to.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He settled just to stay in the industry that he loved.
What do you mean he settled?
Well, he settled. He became a scout because he wasn't a good player. Right?
You can hear the
you can
voice.
hear the disappointment in
Not
his.
that he settled. He just knew. Hey, man, this wasn't meant for me.
So then, why are the flashbacks so impactful? Because he wanted more. He always wanted more.
But then, that's not settling. He's like, I'm going to be a GM to try to change this.
No, I don't know. I mean, I
don't think that's settling.
But he doesn't even know that.
Players
No, it
usually-
is settling.
people-
It is settling.
Players usually.
It is settling. You're right. But it is settling until Jonah Hill's character proves it otherwise for him.
Oh, what do you mean?
Jonah Hill provides a spark for him, dude.
Yeah. Jonah Hill's character basically saying, like, at the very end, like, dude, you fucking won. You did something.
Yeah.
Was the first time his character recognized that. So he did settle. He did feel like he was settling until that moment.
Nah, I disagree. Because, I mean, he's the one that took a risk. He's like, you know what? That guy heard something.
But he didn't know it. He didn't recognize it for himself.
But that's not settling. Settling would be like, all right, well, you don't want my players. This is the budget I got. All right, I'm out.
No,
He's still trying to figure it out.
I'm not talking about his actions or what his character did. I'm talking about his inner monologue. I'm talking about his internal struggle of like, fuck, man. Like, I look at all my mistakes as a player. I could have done more. I could have been more. Could I have been more? Probably not. I was kind of a shitty player. You would have drafted me in the 9th round where I thought I was a first round, or everyone thought I was a first round, and they didn't prove that. He didn't validate his decision of being a GM until that Jonah Hill moment at the very end of the film. That didn't get validated for him until then. He was questioning himself the entire picture.
I don't see it like that.
No?
Because I think he was questioning
what was
if
the
it was
point,
the right decision to go with
What
Jonah.
was the point of the Jonah Hill moment at the end?
Towards the middle, then he was like, yo, we're all in. Once he started making the calls, like, yo, I got to know. Like,
I think we're talking about two different things.
Yeah, I think we are.
Well, what I'm saying, and I'll let you,
I think Carlos is rocking Cantonese, Gus is rocking Mandarin.
Oh, man, we lost picture. I think what I'm talking about is the fact that his internal struggle, what he keeps playing in his head, the mistake he keeps playing in his head, is him wondering, man, everybody bet on me.
Right.
And I wasn't worth the bet. Right? And he's like, there was even a point in the dialogue where in the flashback somebody asks, I think his dad or somebody asked him, like, you really want to leave playing baseball to become a GM, become a scout? He wasn't a GM. He became a scout, Yeah,
you got to start from the bottom.
Right. And that decision felt very remorseful. Felt like, it's the next thing I got to do.
Nah. I'm probably seeing it more from a player perspective. Where it's like, man, I can't play at this level.
Yeah.
I want to figure out why, because I could be a GM. I'm not settling emotionally, internally, like, my struggles, what did I do wrong or what did
The argument against that is, and the filmmakers will probably agree with it, is that the flashback moments that we see from him are not him if there was a moment where you see him looking at his options and maybe even looking at the scouts, something like that.
He's not looking at it from a GM perspective?
No.
What I'm saying is, because if you
He's looking at it from a failed player perspective.
Yeah, if you look at like the flashbacks, if we saw a moment where after he misses a swing at practice and he looks over and looks at a scout,
the GM or the scouts
and
are
then
like,
sees them, that would have settled it.
Yeah.
Then it would have been like, that's exactly where you're at.
This is the perfect. I'm gonna be a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between being a player, somebody that played a lot, and then people that don't.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I get that. It will show the audience that, there was a little hint of, I could be that guy.
Yeah.
Or like,
but it's because all they gave was
as a player, they're just trying to play the game. So when he notices that I can't play at this high level, I know everybody banked on me. I'm still gonna try. I'm not gonna settle. I'm gonna try to give it to this game.
I mean, but he didn't become a sportscaster. You know what I'm saying?
Like, he was a GM.
Yeah. But
that's not settling. Even internally, with the struggles that you said it's him trying to. I'm still trying to figure out what happened,
dude. When you're Pudge, when you're Babe Ruth, when you're whoever, like you're not. They didn't go that route. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but Babe Ruth was good.
Wait, I have a question.
That's what he was questioning his whole career as a player.
Wasn't it the whole system? Like, wasn't maybe just the system was rigged?
That's
the
what
whole
we learned at the end.
Yeah,
that's what we learned at the end. But during the choice he made as a player, as a young kid, almost that didn't realize.
Because it's one of those as a player, you're like, if I go one more year, I'm gonna be out of the league. Might as well. I'm here.
Yeah,
I got a chance to be into the office. That's not settling.
By definition, though, he just played into the system that he didn't like, right?
Right. But he was like, I'm going to figure this out.
I don't think he was that smart yet. I don't think he was that, like, well-versed yet.
As a player, you kind of see those things.
Yes, Michael.
Yes, my bad, Michael. Now, I'm sorry if this is a stupid argument.
No, I think this is great. Yeah. What?
What is the Gambino curse?
Oh, baby.
Damn, man.
Gambino?
We learned that in kindergarten, baby.
God,
what are you talking about?
Damn it, man.
He's the Red Sox fan, so I'll let him talk about
Curse
it.
of the Great Bambino.
Yeah, we should make him watch Fever Pitch. That's what we should do.
Oh, man.
What?
My whole I'm gone.
I'm sorry. Did I kill it?
Yeah, man.
Is it limp now?
Is it limp now? Sorry, go on.
Two of the longest droughts in sports history are the Chicago Cubs and Boston Red Sox.
The Cubs or the Sox? I thought it was the Sox. The White Sox.
Cubs and Red Sox.
Okay.
Cubs went over 100 years without winning a World Series until they won in 16.
Really?
And the Red Sox went 96 years without winning. But the curse of the Great Bambino, Babe Ruth, left the Red Sox to the Yankees. After he left, the Red Sox never won again.
Yep.
Until 2004.
The great curse.
Really? Wait, they never won a championship, or they just didn't win in general?
They won a couple pennants, but they never won the whole thing.
Never won the series.
Yeah. The last game.
Wow.
They never won the last game of the series.
That's been
Good
awesome.
Good pivot, man. I appreciate that. All right, so
I basically did the equivalent of like knocking over your beer and then being like, "Do you need me to get you another one?" And then like,
No, but yeah, okay, but that's good. That means that different people are perceiving it differently on what his arc was, right? So I think that's cool. I mean, ultimately, I think that's cool.
settling would be Chris Pratt's character. Bam! Mic drop.
What?
Yeah, what he was doing.
Because he
Like,
settled to play first base?
No.
Then
Before the call. Like, my right hand's already. I'm not even gonna pursue a freaking office job.
To be fair, I don't know if you guys caught this with the whole like Hatterberg thing. It looked like they were struggling for money because you see the wife at the table with like a bunch of like papers, and it looks like she's like stressing. Like,
Yeah.
or no finances. So maybe like he did it because he had to. Like,
Yeah.
it was his only way to make money.
That is part of settling, though. I still don't think.
You know what I'm saying? He's the one that stayed in baseball.
I think he stayed in baseball to settle, and then he found his way to change the game later. I don't think he knew from the get-go.
Why would somebody that's
you
so
also
pissed
have
off?
to remember that.
Hold on, my bad. Why was somebody so pissed off at the system that he's noticing?
Because he's a grown man now. Now at 50, he can recognize that the
At
system
the
is
time
rigged.
when he was a player,
He didn't recognize that as a player.
Gotcha.
When in the film do we see that as a player he recognizes that?
But why did he stick with baseball? That's what I'm saying. If he
Castro.
would have settled, he would have gone somewhere else. He
Castro.
would have.
No, because he loves the game too much.
Castro.
Yeah.
Castro.
What's up?
Shaq went to the NBA straight from high school, right?
Shaq, nah. He went to LSU.
Okay. What's the only thing Shaq has ever known? Basketball.
Basketball, yeah.
What did he do when he stopped playing?
Analyst?
What's LeBron going to do?
Definitely not an analyst.
Jason Kidd. What did he do when he stopped playing basketball?
Coach.
Sometimes
That's
this
all
is
you know.
all that's all you
Yeah.
know.
Jason
They really
Garrett.
Billy
You guys
Bean.
are talking about at the end of the careers. This guy was
That's
so
the point.
young.
No,
you
but
and I are
that's the
saying the
point.
same thing, Castro. You and I are saying the same thing. I just don't think he got there until later in his career.
Yeah,
I think
Billy Bean
But that
in
would
his
be-
career realized, hey, I can't play. I don't know anything else. I didn't go to college. All I know is baseball. How can I pay my bills? I'll become a scout.
Nah. Well, okay, I see what you guys are saying.
And
All I'm
then
saying-
maybe as
That's true, I
the
didn't
years
think about that.
progressed, he was like, man, this is fucking rigged. Like,
Yeah.
this is unfair. You have to be a rich team in order to win games. Like, no, like, I think he progressively learned that.
I see what you're saying.
And we are seeing him at 50, right? We're seeing his character at 50. We're seeing him as this like evolved experience.
I agree. I guess I'm just saying it from a player's perspective, where it's like,
is it still a pay to win?
I could have kept playing. I could have kept playing until nobody wanted me.
No, genuinely, like when I was saying this, Billy Beane and Peter Brand changed baseball, dude.
Yeah. Really?
What I'm saying is that he could have been playing.
The Yankees, Mets, and Dodgers.
Literally settling to whatever baseball team until he couldn't play no more.
And that's a fair assessment for the sports fan, right? That's a fair assessment coming in from knowing that about players.
Right now.
In the film, we don't see that.
For sure. Just me from my experience of watching sports, is one of those that he made the right decision. Not that he settled, but he's like, all right, if I keep going down this route, I'm eventually going to be a nobody.
You're absolutely right.
I'm not settling for just trying.
You're absolutely right. The problem is we don't see it in the film.
For sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, probably just from my perspective.
It's speculative. But what isn't speculative is that he learned his lesson later in his career. That is in the film.
How do we get into this?
It doesn't matter. Anyways,
to answer your question,
saying.
Peter Brand and Billy Beane did change baseball.
Oh.
You have teams like the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers have the highest payrolls in baseball, and the only one of them that won a ring in the past 15 years are the Dodgers, and it was a Mickey Mouse ring.
And then you also told me one cool fact right now, that the guy that they traded, Pena.
Carlos Pena, dude, he's like a multi-time All-Star. Should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, but at the same time, dude, that Ace team had a lot of like really great players. Miguel Tejada
and like he did it for the right reasons, right? He was a prick dancing on the table when they fucking lost.
No, that's Jeremy Giambi.
Oh, then which one's Pena?
Pena was the first baseman.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
that's because he said that they traded him, but he actually became a good player.
And how did Giambi do afterwards?
Jeremy didn't do shit. Jason Giambi's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, the little brother was the dumb
Or
one.
should be Hall of Famer. It's really hard to get in the Hall of Fame in baseball.
Really? Well, wait. Is there a Hall of? Oh,
it should be.
There's a Hall of Oats for sure.
They hate each other.
So you said that you want to talk about the lighting, or
I'd like to discuss the
I can
cinematography of
appreciate
this
the
film.
attempt, Castro.
No, cinematography
Yeah,
in this film, were they trying to stick to
There we
very
go.
documentary style, or
No, I'd say that this one was definitely okay.
because it was very?
There's a
like,
weird
yeah.
kind of line that you play, I think, in sports films, where because at the end of the day you're going to be catering towards the sports audience. I even think that that's probably why they put money. Like studios will put money into these kind of films. You know that you're going to be able to get that audience. If you can get like especially like a fan base, right? Like, oh, you're going to talk about the story of this guy. This guy's great. So you're going to be able to get him in. So there were a lot of shots there that were trying to, like complement the baseball texture, the environment, and all that kind of stuff.
But also flip it on its wig.
I think
to some degree. These two, Bennett Miller and the DP, Ty or what's his name?
Ty's what we have for breakfast.
Wally
Feister?
Feister. I think what they did for Moneyball is what Fincher and Libatique did for like The Social Network. They used tactics from other genres to tell a story.
Oh, he worked with Nolan a
What
lot.
a resume, bro.
Yeah. To tell a story, but using unorthodox approaches to it. You wouldn't normally you would normally light a baseball film like Field of Dreams.
Yeah, it's just very lit. You can see
All
everything.
blasted.
By the way, first Oscar-nominated baseball film
Since Field of Dreams, yeah.
Oh wow.
No, and you could definitely see that. I was just gonna say that because he asked if it was very documentary style esque, and I feel like
it just felt very like I wouldn't call it fly on the wall, but very felt like everything was handheld.
Well, it was handheld in certain moments,
Yeah.
and
Like that car drive at the end.
yeah, the car drive. I feel like in those moments, they played into it. But again, whenever you use those little subtleties like handheld, you're trying to go for realism. Like this is actually happening, and it's interesting when you use it contextually in moments like these because not a whole lot's really happening to the character in that moment. Like he's sitting and he's feeling, like emotional towards this idea of like I made it, even though maybe I didn't win the game. Like I'm still a winner and all this kind of stuff. But what that's trying to do to the overarching goal of the film is remind you that this actually happened. This was a real person, that it really did go there for them. What I think is interesting on the cinematography, and again, it goes back to what you were mentioning, Field of Dreams wise, is all those baseball highlights. They had some that were fully lit, and you see them there, and the team goes out from the dugout, and they're going onto the field, and they're lit perfectly normal, or they're trying to get everybody looking nice.
Even the montages, even the montages, I felt uneasy. I was like, they're doing good. Why do I feel bad?
Oh, yeah.
Like something's
Well,
about to happen.
what's
That's why I thought
interesting-
the act breaks were gonna be there because I'm like, the shit's about to hit the fan.
What
I'm
I-
not feeling good about this. You know.
What I
So-
liked was the moments where, some people try to accomplish it with depth of field, but they were using the lighting and the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these
Can you
moments
please
where
elaborate with that?
it almost felt these moments where like you would see an individual player or like a group of players in a spot like first base or third base, and you see them like highlighted, and then just this almost like what felt like a wall of black behind them.
Yeah.
Where
Right.
and to me it's almost reminiscent of like when people talk about sports, it's like nothing else mattered
I
except
love
those
that.
kind
They
of
did in
moments.
Hollywood it, man. They did in
Yeah. I
Hollywood
love
it.
that.
Like they did in Hollywood. Okay, not by the
Because
filmmaker's
they put me in
definition
play
of
like,
Hollywood.
thinking about it. You
Yeah.
don't think about the crowd. You
Yeah.
think about that
Yeah,
moment.
and it's funny because I've heard of people that talk about like sports moments for them, and they were like they talk about like this one layup and the person in front of them, or like I was rounding second base, and then this guy got in front of me and he gave me the look, and I knew that I wasn't going to make
And
it,
it was just
and it was
them
going to
too.
kill
It
the
wasn't about
game.
the spectacle.
Yeah,
of
and-
That
baseball.
is very good.
So I feel like they did a great job in
Yeah.
that. That's something very different that you don't see in a whole lot of other sports movies that they
Yeah.
innovated in.
For sure.
Everything else, I mean, I think it was really good way of like giving texture to the whole film. Just like covering the life that they lived. But I feel like the real special moments are there. That those definitely made it feel like it wasn't just another sports film. You know, they didn't have this long, it's super bright, and then you're getting highlights of the players and their reactions and how they're gonna go. No, it's like it's just a full scale moment or beat for that game, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about a fun fact with the DP.
Go ahead.
Wally Feister was not the original DP set in this film.
Oh,
The
nice.
director wasn't the original one either.
Steven Soderbergh was attached to direct. You're absolutely right. Steven Soderbergh, which would have been an interesting picture. But
What has he done?
Soderbergh has done like The Girlfriend Experience, all the Ocean's films, Ocean 11, 12, 10,
Yeah.
11, 12.
By the way, did you see Soderbergh wanting to use the actual players?
Yeah, he's a very like he
That's
did Che.
risky.
Like I don't know if you guys saw Che or
That's
if you saw.
risky.
He's a very kind of almost experimental filmmaker. He's the dude who's got caught up in the whole I'm gonna shoot the rest of my films for the rest of my career on my iPhone. He's that guy.
Oh, wow.
So he's just always wanted to take risks. He loves the indie sensibilities.
Hell yeah.
And he's good. I like him. I like his philosophy in a lot of ways. And he was in that indie boom, and he was like a big voice in that indie boom. Also in the digital boom. Anyways,
What has he done now?
he did like one of the last ones he did was that The Invisible Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I watched that.
Yeah.
was
Was it
impressive.
with Wilder? What Wild? Over there, Wild?
No.
What was the name?
Of some other actors.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, he's going back to his indie roots.
Well, Wally Feister.
Wally Feister. So he replaced the DP when they were so far into prep because the DP got arrested for drug charges, weapons charges, like got caught up in some shit and got arrested.
Damn.
And was like, yeah, I mean, obviously
Yeah,
fired off the picture.
That's how I
And then
wanna
this
go out.
dude- and then this dude,
Did
yeah,
they
but
bail him out?
I have no idea what happened to that guy after this, but yeah, he got caught up in some shit, and Wally Feister just came in to replace him for the film.
Lucky.
But yeah, anyways, fun fact that this guy even wasn't supposed to be in this world necessarily.
It's sad that that's not even like the first story I've heard of, and I'm pretty sure there's so many that are just like, oh yeah, we're gonna use this cast member or this person,
Yeah.
and they just absolutely went off the rails in the background, so we had to replace them last minute.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened with the Flash guy?
Oh,
Yeah,
Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Oh
he
my
got caught
God,
up in
no!
some
That guy
shit.
was like beating up people in Hawaii or something like that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And also with Chris D'Elia.
Chris D'Elia, who's
Yeah,
that?
they did the one with
Oh man, I got some in my eye.
what was it?
Oh, he got canceled too. They're trying.
Is
to
that a
cancel.
Netflix film? Something zombies, where they had to do retakes for like $2 million just to get him out of the film.
Oh shit! I was
Really?
about to open it on my phone, Austin.
What is this?
I want it to be known that I called it so bad. That I am a god amongst men.
What happened?
There's an event today. What's the name of the event? The event?
NAB?
NAB.
NAB.
It's where they announce all
National
the big.
Broadcasting.
No. No.
No?
Please go to that, bro.
National
no,
Aeronautics.
Nope, definitely not aeronautics.
National Association of Basketball.
National anti I'm not gonna finish that word. Baseball.
Definitely not. They announced all the big camera companies will announce their new developments and whatever they're working on.
Camera and lighting.
That is pretty
Camera and
exciting.
lighting. Camera
And
lighting.
broadcasting.
That is pretty exciting. And you're mad because you missed it?
Well, no,
No,
because
no.
Blackmagic was supposed to make this big announcement, and they did, which was a cine camera via the Ursa.
Oh, that's the one you
Yeah.
showed,
For all the people who don't care and only tune in for Moneyball. Wow.
Wow.
You have no idea how many I want to just go on my phone and just be like,
A few things to note about the film, making of the film,
It made a lot of money
on a very low budget.
on a very small
On a very
budget.
small budget. The reason I was talking a little bit about the how they shot the film. So the budget was 50 mil, and half of that probably went to Brad Pitt, right? I mean, when they're doing all the scouting trips, essentially, right? They go to all these different,
Place where the players are at,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, no, not just the players, but the venues, the.
You're talking about the film?
Use your words.
I'm trying to find the word. What
Say-
the stadiums?
Stadiums.
All the stadiums. They couldn't afford it, so the only real one is Fenway. The other one,
What do you
they
mean?
dressed Dodger Stadium up 7 different ways to represent the other stadiums.
Really?
So they shot most of it at Dodger Stadium.
What, like for away games and stuff, they would shoot at Dodger Stadium. Obviously, they shot at
Yeah.
the Coliseum.
Right.
That's
and then
cool.
Fenway they had for one day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm always fascinated that obviously you can't fill up the whole crowd.
Yeah.
So whatever angle you're at.
Oh, they stole shots. I'm sure. I'm sure they went to games and
Well, what about that whole stadium shot? That was green screen for sure, right? Or,
maybe. I don't think so. I think they probably stole shots.
what do you mean stole shots?
You know, they'll announce at the end of of
Oh,
an A's game,
yeah,
like, hey, stick
like
around if you want to be in the
Hall.
movie. You know.
With the
Yeah,
Ever seen
like
the Tom Cruise one? What's the name of it? The football one.
Tom
any
Cruise?
given Sunday? No.
He was in a.
McGuire.
Jerry Maguire.
Oh,
Jerry
yeah, yeah.
Maguire. I just know this because I'm a Cardinals fan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They said that for that like one big game that they have in the movie, that Monday night game, they shot it during halftime.
Oh, you see?
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
The whole thing where you like where he kind of like gets injured and then okay, yeah.
Yeah, they like shot it during halftime. They told fans, if you want to be in a movie,
Yeah.
don't leave your seats at halftime.
Pretty much.
I'm
Right.
fascinated how they get those. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So I also
Yeah.
know because we're gonna have to do something like that soon.
Nice.
at halftime?
At halftime of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they shot at the Coliseum, Dodger Stadium in Fenway.
Yeah.
That's cool.
R.I.P. the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Sell the team, you motherfucker. Sorry.
Hey, so you said
That's how he's
that
starting in it.
you said that this baseball doesn't exist anymore,
This
or
baseball?
like
The stadium.
Yeah.
This is the last year.
I know
Owner
that-
of the Oakland Athletics is a money-hungry son of a bitch and won't sell the fucking team to keep the team in Oakland, which everybody wants, including the fans. Sell the fucking team. I'm gonna send him this clip right now.
Yeah, we say the same thing to Jerry
Wait.
Jones, but
Yeah.
not happening, bro.
So the A's will be playing in Las Vegas in 2020.
What?
they're going to be
6 or
playing with the
7.
Raiders?
Like
No, but they're getting their own stadium in Vegas.
oh, so there's gonna be two? Oh well, no, my bad.
No, but so I could be wrong. I think the headline I read the other day, they're going to start playing in Sacramento next year, I think,
Oh yeah, you did tell me.
until the stadium gets built in Vegas
Oh my god.
because the motherfucker doesn't want to sell the team.
Well, what does selling
I
the
have a
team
question.
imply?
Why? I'm assuming it's because they dressed it up for certain things, but why do we? Were they playing at the same stadium as the Raiders?
At the time of the film, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, time of the film.
I just thought it was so weird. I've never heard of
the
that.
Raiders and the A's have shared the Coliseum for a very long
I
time.
never
You
heard
never
of
seen
that.
the football
Really?
field with like half of the dugout or whatever?
No, I mean
You
it
know
it even weirds me out when the way we have it set up with the Chihuahuas and the locomotive, man. Like it always just weirds me out when it's
yeah,
two
it's like
different
that.
sports.
It's like
when it's like the
49ers
Clippers and the Lakers, I get it, right? Or even like how the Mavericks have the hockey
'Cause it's
and
the
you know,
same-
like
yeah,
I kind
yeah.
of it's the same configuration.
one has, like, a
but
field
it's like
on top
a
of a
big
field.
ass
let
football.
let me learn you, boy.
Yeah.
Up until about the late
See,
90s.
man. Crack a nigga knowledge on us.
Let me
Up, in-
learn.
up until about the late 90s, a good amount of football teams and baseball teams shared stadiums.
Really?
And that era was known as like the concrete donuts.
Oh,
a lot of
wow.
stadiums are
Concrete
circled. Like think
donuts.
about Candlestick, the Coliseum.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
Pittsburgh,
Coliseum for
Shea
sure.
Stadium.
What
all
about
those.
the LA Coliseum? Is that it? The LA Coliseum?
No, it's
The
Oakland.
Coliseum.
Oakland Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought it was where Kanye and Drake performed.
Yeah,
I
where
thought
Magic,
it was that one.
Where Magic used to play.
Oh no, no,
There's another Coliseum? That's because that was the
Oakland.
Coliseum.
Oakland, the Oakland Coliseum.
It's California.
It's
That's
California.
a fair,
It's Northern California.
guess.
California's the
Anyways,
original one.
in the 80s, this was very huge for football teams and baseball
Okay.
teams to share a stadium.
Nice.
The first team to kind of break that trend and build what's kind of the standard from newer baseball teams nowadays was the Baltimore Orioles when they built Camden Yards. So, yeah. Oakland, the A's were the last team to share a stadium with the football team. And then when the Raiders moved, well,
I'm gonna tell you this: nobody did it like the Rangers, bro. That Rangers stadium, very sexy.
Isn't it an indoor?
it's a retractable roof.
So yeah, it's retractable roof. Same like
Holy
the Cowboys.
shit, a baseball fucking
Dude,
field?
it's a glass house.
That's
it's fucking
cool.
beautiful. Like
I've never seen that.
we went for the rodeo. Like we haven't
Why
gone for a
don't you
game
marry
yet.
it?
But, shit, I might.
Sorry, Sandra.
No,
I'm sorry,
but-
man, but nothing beats PNC Park or Fenway.
Well,
Or
sure,
Wrigley.
Fenway is a
Fenway,
staple, dude.
yeah.
But
Have you ever seen the city skyline for PNC Park in Pittsburgh?
probably not. The Pirates one.
Yeah.
You know what I thought Fenway when I saw them going into
Good Will Hunting.
no, the one with with Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner.
Piven.
The town.
Oh, the town.
Yeah, yeah. The shootout. Reminded me of that one.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, we kind of have it like that.
How's that not beautiful, man?
We kind of have it
So-
like that.
Austin, can you learn to
Emphasis
me
on
this?
kind.
You kind of have it like that, like the Chihuahua Stadium.
Emphasis on kinda.
No, they got like the river.
Yeah, dog.
Dude, this picture doesn't do it justice. You need one from field level. Hold on.
Wait,
Lensing
Austin.
today.
How big is a baseball?
The size of a baseball.
The size of my fist. Come here.
No. Like the field, because I guess I get tripped out. Like,
Let me learn to you.
yeah.
Let's see that, dude. Say
Baseball
baseball
is-
field.
Yeah.
Well, do you think
Baseball
I-
is the only
diamond.
sport that doesn't have any field regulations.
What do you mean?
The only regulations on a baseball field is the distance from the pitching rubber to the home plate and the 90 feet between each base. Outside of that, there's no regulations. in
Wait a
baseball.
minute, but then
Yeah,
doesn't
such
that
for-
mean that they can make it easier to get a home run?
Exactly.
Yeah, but then it works against you too when you know.
So
What can we do about getting the stadium from the benchwarmers? Now,
wait a
the
minute. So
standard dimensions is 315 down each line, left and right field, and 400 dead center. That's usually like the
this is
standard.
boring.
315, like 315 yards. Oh,
Feet.
so 100 yards.
Yes, yeah.
the Ranger Stadium's still fucking gorgeous. I hold my content. I think it's fucking great. And then also because I went to the older one and it was very traditional and how it was built. And this new one is just like, it's kind of like what you see in the benchwarmers. Like, it's just this modernization of a stadium, of a facility, you know? I think because it's in Arlington and everything the Cowboys have done with AT&T Stadium, they're trying to emulate that modernism. And that's Cuban too. You know, that's Cubans doing in the city of Dallas. So I just
And
really
Adolis
appreciate
Garcia
it.
taking steroids.
That what?
And Adolis Garcia taking steroids.
Well,
Can you hear that?
know.
It's like 60% of our audience just fucking clicking off.
No,
You
let's
could
be
have taken
honest.
all
if
the
they-
steroids. Everybody cheats in baseball, Austin. We know this. And they won the series for it. So fuck
Yeah,
it. We won.
man.
No,
It's
he
okay.
took steroids after
Houston,
they won.
bro. With that little.
Oh,
Anyways.
gosh, so don't even let me get started on that, man.
Any rating changes?
Well, what about casting and acting?
By the way, I think we should talk more about casting on our podcast, only because this year at the Oscars they did announce that in the future the next category that they're going to add is to casting.
Oh, nice.
What would they be adding?
Casting directors?
Oh, casting
yeah.
directors.
That's
Casting
pretty
director.
Wouldn't that just be dangerous for them?
No,
I heard
because
I heard them trying to add a stunt category.
That would be
no,
cool.
that,
Oh, yeah, I
that
heard
was
that
the
one.
big thing that, and I'll just touch on it a little bit.
Yeah.
It was really weird that at the Oscars they made this big thing like, hey, we want to give a thanks to our stunts, and maybe it's to soft open a category that they want to develop. But at the moment, the only thing that Jimmy Kimmel mentioned in his monologue is like, and we just want to give a shout out that the next additions to the Oscar award ceremony is going to be for casting because it is a full time like, or not, I shouldn't subscribe it like that or prescribe that title. But it's
Describe.
describe. So many scribes.
Prescribe.
Scribe. No, I don't want to describe it like that, but
Prescribe it like that.
just it's really
Important.
no. It's really impactful
Yeah.
when a casting director is able to get the right cast together.
absolutely.
Like with this film.
There we go.
I
That's
think the
transition.
casting was really spot on in the sense that seeing Brad Pitt, he was able to command the screen. So that way, every time you see him go into a place or make any decisions, the audience could see that he was the one taking charge. And it was a rough decision, and the team didn't
Now,
like
is
him.
that acting or is that Brad Pitt?
Yeah, because.
But then also, I'm going to say, well, then here, casting is about more than just the individual actor. Then go with somebody like Jonah Hill, somebody who
That's what-
impacted him And Jonah Hill doesn't fit like the baseball mode. I mean, when you're seeing what would you call that room? The war room where they're all talking about, like
It's just an executive.
The war room.
yeah, just a war room.
Most people, like most teams, are afraid of that, like as a war room.
Okay, well, like in there,
Yeah.
you're seeing the standard model for what a baseball coach or the
Manager.
the managers and
Manager.
and then the rest of them are just scouts or they're just
Yeah, in that
advisors.
room, coaches and like the bench coach, hitting coach.
Yeah.
Coach.
In that, you're seeing what the standard model of them looks like. So then when Jonah Hill comes in...
Jonah Hill?
Yeah, Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill comes in, he really does look drastically different
today, bro.
from rest of them.
I don't have anything to say about the casting other than whatever you said. I think it's terrific. I do have one gripe.
With the
I
wife.
know why it happened, but I think it's a grossly underutilization of Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
I don't think it did anything. I don't think it did much.
Even at the very end, I mean, the story didn't do much for that character. It was just kind of like, hey,
Also,
I'm not
they
going to give it to
altered
you.
him for the movie.
What do you mean? Like who he's based on?
Art Howe didn't reject any of Billy Bean's wanting to do, so they changed.
They
that
just
up.
kind of like.
Well, then he
spice
should
it
have
up.
been that for the character.
Yeah.
You know, the reason he's in there is because he's worked with this director before with Capote. So like it's just like it's like J.K. Simmons being in La La Land. You know.
Yeah.
It's just that type of thing.
Well, here's my take on the casting. Obviously,
Yeah.
great casting. Brad Pitt, you can't
Yeah.
go wrong. A little bit of a risk with Jonah Hill at the time because he only done Cyrus at the time.
He did a good couple
Yeah,
of
he
things.
knocked it off the ballpark. Oh.
Roll credit.
No, but here's the thing. I think Austin mentioned that they try to use real scouts, and that's a little risky.
No, they did use real.
They
Stuff.
not all of them, right? I'm
The
assuming,
guy
right?
with the hearing
Not all
aid,
of
right?
them, no.
It's definitely the guy with the
That's a
hearing
little
aid.
risky because I remember
So the guy who goes with Brad Pitt to Chris Pratt's house. That's
Yeah.
Ron Washington. He's an actual baseball manager.
Really?
I've
World
seen-
Series
I've seen
winning.
him. Oh, really?
Really?
He won with the Nationals in 2019.
I do have
Dang.
one like really cool fact that I was just gonna say for the end about the
I might
casting.
be wrong about that. Don't quote me.
Well, let me finish mine real quick.
Yeah.
I think it go really wrong because they did this film. What was it called?
Shrek 2.
No, it was a war
Where
film.
they only used real
Where they
ogres.
used actual soldiers. Everything about it was great except the acting.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Act of Valor.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with the Clint Eastwood one, the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, whatever. Where he used the
they also
actual
did,
people.
yeah.
You know,
That's why I'm like I'm definitely not
Isn't
for
that
that.
the Travolta one?
the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, whatever.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
train one.
The train one.
Yeah, that's Travolta. And,
That's Travolta.
No, there's a Clint Eastwood film. It might not be that name. It might be another name. But Clint Eastwood did a picture.
No, yeah, Travolta.
All with real actors.
all with the people who it happened to in real life.
Oh.
I'm not with that. I'm not with that.
Yeah,
It's great on paper, awful in
no,
execution.
it's not that. Just go to Clint
I'm
Eastwood.
with you on
It's
that.
not a war movie. Nobody said it was a war movie.
I'm sorry. That's just because Castro brought up war.
No, it was like the heist or not the heist. The what is it called? The hijacking of a train, basically.
Oh, okay.
Go up. No, it's further up in his career. It has numbers in it.
What, like barely, like
This you're looking at his acting stuff. The 517 of Paris.
Oh, I was interested in watching that. And I just
Never watched
I mean,
it.
I never got around to it, but I heard it was really bad because he picked up just. It's a cool little concept. Let me use the
paper.
same people who it happened to recreate the film, but it's like, dude, they're not act. None of them are actors. You're not
Yeah,
gonna.
they're great for
bit parts or
yeah,
something.
no, but I mean like the recounting. I
Right.
mean, you can imagine them being so crucial
Yeah.
in bringing the emotion
Right.
on paper.
On paper.
But like, it's a completely different skill.
I mean, and this one it did work because you could kind of like, all right, they know what they're talking about.
Oh
they
yeah,
know
they
numbers.
Right.
in those
But it could have
moments.
gone
It's
wrong.
informational.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
in those
Way
moments
wrong.
felt very authentic. That's why it's good that again you're bringing in actors into the right roles, right spots, so that way they can shine and they can play the role that they need.
And it's
to,
interesting because Brad Pitt's not really known for playing like sports, and
don't know what he's
he actually pulled it
playing
off,
with
man.
sports?
He had the language nailed down.
Well, that's on the screenwriters.
The language,
No,
But, like,
that's how you deliver the
how he
line.
delivers it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's what
wouldn't.
we're talking about. Like you get anybody, give them lines.
I mean,
but-
I wouldn't change my rating. I think it has a lot of merit. I
Yeah.
think as a sports film, again, it does what we've talked about on other sports films in this podcast, that it's not following the formula, and because of that, and because of the risk
Yeah.
it is taking, it is able
I have
to
a question
excel.
about that.
Yes.
Is it being based on a true story greatly affect that?
No, because again,
didn't have
the
to be.
elements that were there,
I love it.
I connected with those human parts. You know, I feel like based on a true story, I know in a lot of ways it can be what is it called? It could be kind of a crutch that people are like, people aren't going to be really captivated by this. But if we put in on a true story, then everybody's like, whoa.
Right.
And especially like for all those films now where it's a cliche, is like in horror films or like haunting films where it's the hunting
I've
in
been tired of
Connecticut,
that.
where it's just like, oh, this is based on a true story. So people want to go and see it. So that way it can be like this big old spectacle.
Yeah.
And then they're connected even more. But here I felt like
Thank you.
whether it was based on a true story or not, the characters, the deliveries, everything that they were going through, as long as you can kind of dive into that world a little bit,
Yeah.
you can really appreciate their growth and
Yeah,
the
for
way all
sure.
that was portrayed. You know?
Arcs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it, man. Yeah, I'm gonna stay at a soft 8. I think it's good. I definitely watch it again. I think
Can I
it's,
intrigue you to make it hard?
Yeah, I was about to say something
What?
like that too.
He wants you to make it a hard 8.
Can I make you hard?
Can't just be
a
a
hard
hard
8.
Can I make?
Oh, what's keeping it from a hard 8? I mean, you're not even going up a point. What's just making it like a firm, like you got to
Yeah,
debate.
yeah.
I do
Say
agree
what
with
you
you.
said.
I wouldn't change it from a soft 8 though.
No,
but-
I just don't have a.
Bro, keep that to yourself. He's ready.
I wasn't going to change it. And it's not a persuading thing as much as it is. I'm going to use a silly example, but the two of you will know what I'm talking about. I don't know if Castro will. The retro bowl, right? When you're like building your players up,
Yeah.
and you can't go anymore. There's no room to go up anymore.
God damn.
But you can make them hard.
Yeah, bro.
No, you can't.
I don't know if you know this. You can hire certain coaches to boost your players' attributes.
Yeah.
Also, you can make the defensive players angry so
That's
they'll
not the
do
fucking
better.
point.
And also, yeah, if they do go to a toxic morale, they do
There
get
we
an extra
go.
attribute.
Spinning
Yeah.
facts.
That's not the fucking point. The point is,
better
I don't.
strength.
That's the point. That's the point.
Actually,
The point is, the film didn't change. I mean, we argued points of what it could have been, not what it is. And what it is good.
okay,
Solid.
Well, what can I do to make you hard? I mean, make it a hard
Wow.
hit.
We can have that conversation
my family
later.
is now
Okay,
watching
no
this
dating, no dating.
podcast.
I'll make it a hard 8 for this reason. For this reason alone.
Brad
Sorkin
Pitt
helped.
spitting out the popcorn. By the way, I love that. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm making it a hard 8, and it's a very sentimental reason to an extent, and I just think it's cool, so fuck it. The John Henry character. Played by Arliss Howard. Do you guys know who Arliss Howard is?
John
by any
Henry
chance?
was my D man.
The John Henry character was the owner of the Red Sox in the film. Yeah? Arliss Howard has a great filmography. Like, he's been in a ton of great films. I'm talking about like The Killer, for instance, most recently with
wow.
with Fincher. He's been in fucking
Fassbender.
he's been in a lot of great films. Jurassic Park. I mean, just a lot of great films. Park. But related to baseball, the guy who played the owner of the Red Sox in this picture was grown Scotty in The Sandlot.
Grown Scotty.
the Great Bambino.
The great Bambino. The grown Scotty. You know how he's the
Lost
announcer?
in the Cloud.
He's the announcer. And he's like with Ben, he's the baseball player and he's the announcer.
Uh-huh.
Scotty became the announcer of the games.
Uh-huh.
That actor played the Red Sox owner in this film.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I would have to see the picture of the other guy.
So his name's Arlen something. Arliss Howard.
Hot take.
Have you seen The Sandlot?
I don't like it.
What? Why?
It's the main character doesn't do anything for me. Like, he's not even growing. It's about some other kid this whole time, and then his voiceover doesn't matter. Bad movie.
How dare you? It's as good as American Pie.
That's him?
Yes.
the actor.
So he was in Full Metal Jacket. He was in, it was just a
Oh,
bunch
wow.
of shit.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man.
go to Google Images and just put like The Sandlot.
The story wasn't
Yeah.
even about him. It was about the other kids. And I mean, it's fun.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah, look at that.
nostalgic. But
I do remember
hot
him
take.
from there.
Sandlot, bad movie.
With the big
That's
hat.
it, man.
Yeah, with the big hat.
That's cool. I dig that. Give it a heart 8 for that reason.
I made you hard.
The Sandlot.
I like to play.
I'll stick it at 9.3. I mean,
stick.
Soft or hard?
a hard 9.3.
You know what I like about this podcast? And I don't know how to feel about it. I've been a little conflicted about it lately, but for the last few films, we've been very set on our scores. We haven't moved up or gone down. And that feels like that's just a development of our palate. Like, we know what we want to give this thing. We know
I'm going to
where
go
we
up to a
stand
10.
with it. You're gonna go up to a 10.
No,
Never mind.
I'm
I
joking.
retract my statement.
I'm joking.
No. Yeah. Anyways,
But we can all agree
Sticking
the
to a
Sandlot
9.3.
sucks, right?
Yeah, 9.3, man.
no. Put
High
that
five.
hand down.
High
Every
five.
American
High
and
five.
listening
High
is
Tell
five.
you what, I'm
High
gonna
five.
go up from a 9.2 to a 9.3 simply because what you used to quote, because this film created this
okay. Fair.
conversation
They
Can
now
you do
like
the
to
motion
change
again?
about a topic that 2 out of 4 people in this room genuinely probably wouldn't care about.
It also created a conversation with 2 people that nobody wanted to listen to.
Yeah,
so
dude.
like it's I don't know.
I saw that all just like,
I was trying
what's up,
to be,
man?
Anyways,
I was trying to be nostalgic
9.3
with how you used to say that. You're like,
He still
I
said
appreciate.
it.
I still say it when it warrants it. I'm sorry. It's a great film. It's a great film.
Yeah, I
Speaking of
loved
great films,
Next
next
week-
week
on Dragon Ball Z.
on Dragon Ball Z.
We're continuing our free picks.
Carlos
and
is
it's my
continuing
turn.
his
It wasn't
free
supposed
pick.
to be. Just want to point that out. We're gonna be talking about a film I've been wanting to talk about for a long time.
I hope that's was ready.
Jacques Demy.
Can you say it like a Dragon Ball Z post-credit announcement?
Jacques Demy. I don't know what is
No,
it. How does
I
that
want
go?
you to sing it in opera.
On the next episode of Dragon
There you
Ball
go.
Z,
We cover Jacques Demy's French New Wave musical opera. We're gonna talk. I just feel like a radio announcer.
Wow, Piccolo, I don't think we
we're
can
gonna be
get
talking
past
about The
this one.
Umbrella Cherbourg, a terrific picture set inside of an opera that inspired a lot of musicals, including and especially La La Land. After
I'm going to
that.
be singing so
and
hard after we
the
watch it.
upcoming Joker 2.
and the upcoming Joker, Sammy Singing in the Rain, a bunch of films. But what I love about that picture is that it's very much made in the French New Wave and made by a French New Wave director who like broke all the rules of the French New Wave, and it didn't feel like French
And
New
I
Wave,
think-
which I think is a good
So
thing.
please tune in
So please tune in.
next week for Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Avatar 2. Good movie.
Tune in next
Don't shoot
week.
the horse.
Those
Those
doors.
doors.
Tune in next week. Go watch Moneyball. Great
Yes.
film. Let us know what you guys think about it. As per usual, let us know if you guys want us to review any films.
Yeah,
And,
we're ready to start doing more audience picks. And also, we've talked to a couple of good people that looks like they hopefully will join us in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. As special guests and stuff like that. So yeah.
So we got some more special
got
guests.
some-
but-
And on the Tower Cast side, tune in. We're working on dates. So
Nice.
just hold off.
more things to come.
Yeah.
But thank you all for tuning in.
Tune into the Brothers of Cherbourg next week.
More on this.
Stay hot, stay sexy.
Love
That's
you
our
guys.
tagline, right?
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
When I point at you, that's when you talk.
When I point at you, that's when you listen.
Now you guys just like.
You're supposed to say because he gets on base.
Because he gets on base.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Get on this podcast.